and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. We are going to give a wonderful update today about a really, really great program. We've actually had them on the show before when they first got started, but now they've really come a long way and are doing some great things in our community. So I want to welcome Sonia Dupree, Simone Dupree, and Joe Paul. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having us.
Okay. Now, Sonia, you are the executive director of E.N.D.IT.
Yes.
Now, so everybody knows what does it's an acronym. What does it stand for?
E.N.D.IT stands for Everybody's Not Doing It.
Okay.
Yes.
And for those who didn't see the first show, let's start with the basics. When did you guys get started, and tell us what you're about?
Okay. So we got started in 2010, June 15, 2010. So we've been around about 8 years, and Everybody's Not Doing It is a program for middle school and high school students or preteens and teens to prevent at-risk behaviors. So a lot of the things...
And let's stop you right there.
Sure.
Okay, you and I know what at-risk behaviors are because we're in the system and have been for a while. But what is an at-risk behavior?
Okay, so premarital sex, drugs, alcohol, skipping school, any of those things, you know, that could change the trajectory of their future or them reaching their goals and their dreams.
Okay.
So what happens is research shows that the belief or the perspective that everyone or a large population is doing something predicts future at-risk behaviors.
Right.
It makes them feel more comfortable. So what we want to do is start an organization or program that would show teens that everybody's not doing it, that there are others who are, you know,
making good choices,
making great choices, and then also to empower them to be that example.
Okay.
So it could be, a lot of times when people hear doing it, they think that we're just talking about sex.
Yeah.
But it could be any of those things that we're helping them to be positive in that way. And instead of just saying, don't do this, don't do that, we give them positive alternatives using the arts.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the key here, the arts, the whole thing, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But what prompted you, Sonia, to start this program?
When we started this program, my husband Skip and I started the program. Simone was in middle school.
Okay.
She's our oldest daughter, and what we
in St. Lucie County. Where do you go, Simone?
I'm at Indian River State College now, but at the time I think I was at Renaissance Charter School.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great.
And just as a whole, of course, we had been teenagers
Now,
before.
is Simone your only child?
No, I have 3 daughters.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay. I think maybe one of I don't know. I'm trying to think if one of them was on the show. But anyway, go ahead. Okay.
She was my middle daughter.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yes. So when Simone was in middle school, of course, we've all been teenagers before.
Yeah.
But now we had our first, and just seeing all of the media pressure and things coming through her peers and, you know, misinformed peers.
Right.
And all of these, like, as parents, you're teaching one thing, and the people who love and care about her are teaching one thing. But there were so many outlets coming, like, specifically targeting our teenagers, targeting our youth, whether it's the music, things on TV, and we're trying to, you know, watch and be mindful of everything that we allowed her to see or hear, and teach her the differences and the healthy way to do things.
Right.
But it was like it just seeing what was happening with her and her friends, whether it was struggling with body image issues, being pressured to, you know, try this once, and you know, things like that. We just wanted to make a difference. When I got the vision or the dream for this program, I was working as a computer programmer for IBM. Yes, so it was totally different, you know, than anything that I was doing.
What made you incorporate the arts as part of this?
Well, the arts, I would say, was always there, but
do you sing and dance? And
I do not. I do not sing in a good way.
Right.
Everyone can sing, but it's a matter of how it sounds.
Right.
But no, what was happening was, in the beginning, everything that we're doing, we always used skits or spoken word as an object lesson.
Right.
So if we taught about identity or body image or peer pressure, we did a skit or something to act it out. So we didn't realize until years later that we're thinking like, hey, people keep coming and inviting you to do the skits.
Right.
You know, and so we do it once at a banquet, and then we do it 10 more times at
Right.
a church or an event or
Right.
a function. And every time it was not only educating our youth, but it was educating the youth that they performed in front of.
Okay, how
as
did
well
you
as families.
now? Your core group, you just got together and started having meetings with a core group and doing that. Is that how it? Simone, were you involved in that?
Yes, ma'am. It started off with only girls. So some of my friends that I met at school, we met together at our house, and then
Started doing
there.
skits and stuff like that.
Yeah, and talking
Yes.
about life mostly. That's the first part, and then we incorporated what we learned about life into the skits. So.
Oh, I see. And then it just got bigger and bigger.
Bigger until about probably like 4 years ago, we finally started to own, you know, the performing arts part of it and to do actual big productions, which is probably what you've heard about. So it's one of those things where you've been around for years,
Right.
and then when you do a big production and it's kind of like a hit, then it's like, oh, you just got here, you're new. It's like, no, we've been grinding for years.
For years, yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I got to come back to you, Sonia,
Yes.
and you too, Simone.
Sure.
Job, how do you fit in this?
Well, I'm a life coach at E.N.D.IT. So I help the kids throughout the day with their academics, and I teach a class called Life Skills, where we teach them things about self-government and positivity, and reaching your goals, setting goals, and effective ways of getting to that. Yep.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, so obviously when I started the show and said you've really grown and kicked it up, you really have grown and
We
kicked it
really
up.
have.
So do you have a physical location now?
We now have a physical
Okay, tell us
location.
about that.
Yes, so since last year, we've been looking for a place of our own. For a while, we were kind of we were dislocated. You know, we were using different places that we could. So with the
To practice and to
to have
rehearse.
rehearsals, and we had this huge success with Daddy
Yeah.
about human trafficking. But in the background, we were struggling to find a place just to practice. You know,
Right.
the city of Fort Pierce was awesome. They allowed us to use the old city hall building sometimes and different spaces so that
Right.
we could still practice.
Right.
But finally, as of June of this year, literally a few weeks before we started our summer camp, we were able to find a place, and that was through the help of Children's Services Council.
Wow.
So we're now fully funded year-round program for them as well.
Oh, great.
So that's been
Well, that was my next question.
Yes.
How are you funding? How are you
Yes.
paying for this?
Yes. So up
Right.
until then, everything was volunteer. You know,
Right.
run volunteers. So now we have staff. We're able to. So we're able to have Mr. Job, who works with academics, tutoring, homework assistance after school. Simone is now the graphic. How do we say it? Graphic artist, graphic design. She teaches them that as well as choreography for
Okay.
dance. We also have, a few other staff members, a vocal coach, an artist who comes in to work with them weekly as well. So we've totally taken the, I would say, the seed of it, and it's just blossomed and grown even more.
Well, now you didn't finish though. Where physically
The
are you?
physical location.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I'm sorry. It's at 804
Right.
South 6th Street here in Fort Pierce.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, and you have, you just used that, and that was provided through Children's Services Council.
The support in order to be able to lease it.
Oh, I see.
Yes, comes
Okay.
as a part of that year-round program. So,
I got you.
Yes, we are. We're leasing it, and it's over
Perfect.
and above. It's perfect for us. You know, anything that we could have asked for. We're able to do the performing arts there. We're able to do, the graphic design. We have a music studio. We're able to do different arts components there, as well as have an area for academics. It's perfect.
Well, how does the academics fit in with this? I thought, well, let's go back.
Yes.
If someone who's watching the show has a child, let's say anybody involved in the school system has a child that they think may benefit from this, what do they do? Do they call you? Who do they call?
Yes, so they can call the office using the number on the screen, and we do have an administrative assistant there who will schedule a tour with them. They can call. They can also reach us through our website,
Okay.
Facebook. We're on every social media that the youth are on.
Right.
So Instagram, Snapchat, all of that. But
Is there a cost for being involved with
It's
that?
based on income. It's a sliding scale.
Okay.
So we'll never turn away anyone based on money.
Okay.
That's our
If you have all the
commitment.
money in the world, how much does it cost?
Then it's $45 per week.
Oh, okay.
Yes, if that's not an issue. And then, but any situation, we even have a process where if it looks like, because this happens a lot of times, my pay stubs will say I can afford it, but because of my expenses or something we're going
Right,
through, I really
right.
can't.
Right.
So we even have, accommodations for that as well. We won't turn away anyone for money.
Well, Joe, maybe you can fill this in a little bit. What's a week look like for somebody who's involved with E.N.D.IT?
Man, a week looks like, the kids coming off the bus and they get about 30 minutes block time to just, decompress. Just coming fresh from school, so we just give them some time to themselves. They watch Netflix. They just, sometimes they'll work on language stuff, whatever
Right.
they want to do for that 30 minutes of time. And after that, they transition over to their academics for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
So at that time, we'll incorporate, them getting to their homework if they have it. And sometimes if they don't have homework, we'll help them out in a weak area,
Okay.
and that they're going through in school. And we'll try to help them beef that area up.
Okay, and then Simone, do you audition them to see if they have talent, or how does that work?
So most of the time, we use everybody, whether they're willing or not. It's all about willingness. So there's.
Well, I don't think they would come based on your focus.
Right.
If they didn't, of course,
Have some
somebody,
interest.
like I
Right.
think I can sing great, but you'd probably say, well, Diamond,
Right.
But no. So anyway, so go ahead. You find out what their talents are, if any.
And sometimes, like they say, maybe their strong suit is singing, but they hate dancing. Then we'll kind of guide them into, okay, after on Tuesdays, the vocal coach comes in and works with them, and then on Wednesdays I work with the people who are interested in choreography. So it's kind of or dance. So it's kind
Right.
of
Yes.
their interests.
Right, right. And that's this is kind of an after-school program, Joe? Yeah, so, and you're there 5 days a week?
I'm there Monday through Thursday.
Okay. And available, so it's after school till when?
It's till 6 p.m.
Okay.
6:37, depending on
Okay.
when some parents get off later. So,
Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So they get life skills training, academic help. They rehearse or whatever
Yes.
for the next play
For
or
the
whatever
next
you're
play,
doing.
yes. And then we also have projects within that. So if someone, we have a couple who they don't want to act, they're kind of timid with the stage, which is fine. We have something for everyone.
Right.
They'd rather focus on the painting and the art, and we're targeting to get to the place where they can actually sell their art when we have events or show and things
Right.
like that. So there's a platform for them as well. There are some who like to just do the audio, and they are involved from the standpoint of whatever sound or music we need for the show.
Right.
And they're involved from that end. They learn to work the mics and
Well, and there's God, what am I thinking about? The backdrop of the play, the scenery,
props.
yes, the scenery,
props.
the props and stage
Yeah.
hands, yes, all
Right.
of that.
So they can, if they can't sing or dance, they can do stuff like that, or lighting or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah. But
exactly.
you've actually had. Now, your first play was where? What was your first play? Daddy?
No, our first actual
Was
stage
ended.
play was it was a broken chain.
Okay.
And then we did Daddy, and Daddy actually, at that point, I think that in a vision when you're starting something, you can go through a time where you feel like this isn't working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Daddy happened at a time when we're like, okay, it's just not a lot of support, and this is getting, taxing personally and so forth. So Daddy came about at a time when we were like, okay, maybe it's our season is over.
Right.
And then it just exploded.
Right.
So, after Daddy, then we revisited A Broken Chain. Because again, it's like a song you had before.
Right.
But
right.
no one knew about it. So then when
Now, do you write your own music and for this, or?
We do not write our own music. We've written, our scripts are original.
Right.
Spoken word that we put in there is original.
Right.
We may put a twist on something.
Okay.
But so far we have not written an original song.
So you
that
just
plays
take
original.
songs that have been written and change the words or whatever?
We will use a song in our situation. So for example, A Broken Chain is about breaking the chains of domestic violence. So it's about teen dating violence and seeing the warning signs and empowering you to break the chain, to
Right.
be the one, the generation to do that. And in it, we use a song by Rihanna and Eminem. It's called I Love the Way You Lie. So we use it to show how insane this relationship is.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So they
Gotcha.
perform it in a scene to show like this is really what we're saying. This is
Right.
not good, you know?
Yeah, right.
As opposed to outside of that context, just believing what a lot of these artists say is cool or healthy or the norm, you know, outside of that context, they believe it. And that's
Okay.
what we don't want them to do.
Now, Simone, do they actually graduate, or can somebody sign up for a week and see what it's like, or go for a month and then never? I mean, what's the norm as far as kids being involved?
The norm, some kids, because they have other after school like sports, so they come in for different
Right,
seasons.
right.
But most of the kids, they go through all high school, and then once they graduate, they may come back and volunteer when they're in
Right,
town
right.
and everything. But
Right.
most of them go through it.
For all 4 years?
For the most part, unless there's a lot
Wow.
of kids that are there and then they leave for like a year and then they come back. But most of the time they come back, so it's
Wow.
really great.
It's like seasonal. So we have football players we won't see for a while, and then they'll come back. Then we have some that are there until basketball season. So it's kind of in and out, and we allow that with our different shows. So you may be in one show but not another.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So-
Well, how many kids are involved at a time usually?
Usually between 20 and 25.
Wow.
Yes.
Can you take more or no?
We would like to cap at around 30,
Yeah.
just for the effectiveness of it.
Yeah,
And
right.
while that seems small, the quality, we want to be able to give them a
Oh,
quality
yeah.
program.
Right.
But those 25 to 30 are affecting thousands, you know,
Right.
either by what they do in social media or putting out videos or even the shows. You know, they're able to take that message that they've learned and they've developed, you know, a storyline, and it's so cool because they're a part of the creation process. It's always relevant. So if you and I were writing something,
Right.
you know what I mean? It would be
Yeah.
different. But
Yeah. Well, we would
Yes.
have no, I mean, you're so
We just say, don't
off.
do that.
Yeah, that's wrong now.
Right.
Come on. Well, and how do you pick, Joe, maybe you can answer this, or any three of you, if you've got an idea. How do you pick the topic that you feel is, like the one was the broken chain with the violence.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the human trafficking. I mean, what is the next topic that you want to focus on?
I think it's something probably best for you to say.
Well, when we first did a broken chain, we were actually invited to do an event.
Okay.
Could you create something for this? And so we created that. For human trafficking, I brought that one to the table.
Right.
Because I learned about it and I knew it was something our youth didn't know about and they needed to. So once
Oh yeah.
Yes, so once they learned about it and then we created, the show for it. At that time, I would say this year when we did a broken chain again this summer at the Sunrise, literally it was because it was already written.
Right.
And we were going through so much, moving into a new place, starting
Yeah.
a new program. We're like, we got to do something we already have.
Yeah.
So in between, we've done shorter things that were not full productions. We've
Right.
done some spoken word skits. Sometimes we create to what someone asks. So we were invited to perform at the annual MLK breakfast in January. So we created a powerful piece for that.
Okay.
So it all just depends. Our next big topic,
Yes.
we'll have to discuss with the youth.
Oh, so you're not gonna,
Yes.
so
We haven't
you're
made
not
it
gonna
there
roll that out on the show. We
Right.
have to wait.
Yes,
we
we
have
got
to
to talk about it. They're my co-writers and editors, so.
wait. Well, the daddy that was at the Sunrise Theater. How did that go? Tell. Was it a full? I mean, did you have a full house? What?
I think of when we met with you last, have we done Daddy as a stage play or just the walkthroughs?
I think just the walkthroughs.
Just the walkthroughs.
Yeah.
So the walkthroughs sold out like over 20 something times.
Oh wow.
So then and I think it was because of the uniqueness of it and actually walking through the scenes. So we converted it to a stage play so we can get more people in at once,
Right.
as well as present it to more youth. We didn't sell out.
Right.
But we had a great reception.
Right.
After that, we were invited by the Broward Human Trafficking Coalition
Wow.
to perform Daddy in Fort Lauderdale. So we did that. That went very well. We were in the Fort Lauderdale newspaper
Wow.
for doing that. Then now this year, even with the broken chain, it's different. They invited us back to come in January to Fort Lauderdale to perform again. So we're really excited about that, to be able to partner with the coalition there again.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Well, does anybody, do you ever have outliers? Do you ever have kids that, this is not a court-ordered program,
Right.
correct? I guess, can the court suggest it? Do you know? Do they ever get involved with this that way?
That's happened before.
Okay.
And it worked really well. We will, like I said, we're a preventative program. We take early intervention. We meet with each family, individually, just to learn more about the youth. It's not necessarily a, whether you're accepted or rejected.
Right.
But
right.
if it's for some reason something that's outside of our reach, then we will definitely refer to something else. It's not like a rejection. But because it's a positive peer environment, we may take 1 or 2 intervention cases, but we don't want to tilt
Right.
the environment. But we did have a couple of court-ordered cases, and it worked really well. One in particular, and we saw changes. The problem is, after so many positive changes, then the family decided that, well, since they're doing so good,
Yeah.
we're going to let them take a break.
Right.
And then we didn't hear. It was kind of, unfortunately, not a good outcome with that. But
Wow.
I think definitely the context matters. So if you say,
Right.
"Oh, since you did good, you can take a break," it kind of feels like a punishment. You know what I
Right.
mean? But the person was really enjoying it. I think they seem
Well,
to.
do you ever have anybody that you talk to and you say, no, they're just not a good fit for this, or their intention, or do most people that come to you have, or children that come to you, have the right slant or heart?
I would say they all do initially. However, I think there's always the potential.
Yeah.
It's always there. But then they have to make a decision. There comes a time they have to make a decision whether they're going to change their attitude or not.
Okay.
So, there were a couple of cases to where I had to ask youth not to return.
Yeah.
Because of the refusal to just not being open to. In both cases, it was the attitude.
But this
to be
is,
honest.
I think there's, excuse me, there's prevention, there's intervention. This is trying to make sure they stay on the right track and continue on a good path, more than they've gotten arrested, they've gotten in trouble, and we're going to try and change the family and them
Right.
or whatever. Correct?
Right.
Joe, what do you see as in your life coaching? What do you have to coach them the most on? What are the youth having difficulties with today? And I didn't ask you this initially. What age groups are we talking about?
Middle and high school.
Oh yeah, I did ask you that. Okay. Okay.
One of the most recent things that we've been dealing with them particularly has been the topic of self-government. Like we just said, right, we have a schedule that we go through.
Now, what do you mean by self-government?
Right. So, like we said, we have a schedule they go through where they come, 30 minutes off, and then get to stuff. And so basically, we present it to them like, the schedule. So it's up to you to follow through with the schedule. You know where the stations are, where you got to go to do your academics, what the station is to get your food, for your snacks, where you got to go to set up and enjoy your time. So it's up to you now to follow through with this schedule each day.
Right.
And the first couple times, they really weren't getting it. I would just walk in the room and say, "Hey guys, self-government," and they would be, I would leave and find out that they're looking at each other like, what does he mean by self-government?
Right.
And so over time, I would, re-explain it. And then one day, literally, I just saw them get up and didn't have to tell them a word. Everybody just started going to their own station, doing their own thing. And then the next day it happened again. And I was like, okay. At first I thought maybe they're putting on. And then the third day, and then it's been 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And they've been consistently taking care of themselves. They know what the schedule is. They come off the bus and they just get to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's been.
So self-government is like self-governing,
Yeah.
having the initiative to do the right thing at the right time,
Yeah.
and the whole
Exactly.
thing. But again, what is on their minds?
Well, so much on their mind, because they listening to so much. They're taking in so much from so many different sources outside,
Right. So what are their big issues? What are they concerned about?
I mean, I don't want to get too personal.
No,
you know what
I mean, I'm not talking about.
Right.
I don't want you to reveal anyone's issues or
Right,
whatever,
right.
but just generally speaking,
I mean,
is it
generally-
drugs? Is it sex? Is it alcohol? Is it trying to become someone? You know, what
Well,
is?
you know what? I'll say this. For our particular context, one thing that even surprised me when I first started working there, you know, dealing with kids that are that age group, they're actually very unique for their age group, you know, where we are in our context.
Right.
You know, like some of the biggest issues that you'll hear our teens dealing with, it's like I go there and I was like, wow, these kids actually they have their own issues, their own things they're struggling with.
Right.
But some of the biggest, you know, bigger stuff aren't really that, you know what I mean, prevalent with them. You know what I mean? And I'm finding that what they're, you know, they have their struggles. You know what I mean? They have the stuff that they go through at home, the stuff that they go through with their peers at school. You know what I mean? But I find that at this stage, we're trying to grab them to where they don't give in too much to those struggles, to where those struggles don't have too much of a hold on them. So we're able to kind of communicate with them through some of the stuff dealing with drugs and relationship issues and all that type of stuff. So in my perspective, a lot of it is still mild and tameable. And so with that, we're able to kind of, you know, counsel
Just
through some of
promote that
stuff.
positive
Yes,
behavior.
you know what I mean?
So what you're telling me is the group that you're dealing with really doesn't have issues with drugs and sex and
Well,
that.
I'm not saying that.
No. I mean, obviously,
Right,
the
right.
age group, because of the peer
For sure,
pressure and all
absolutely,
that, they're going to
absolutely.
have issues,
Absolutely.
so to speak, but they're not coming in to this program, if you will, saying, I'm using and I gotta quit. They're just reinforcing the fact that they haven't used, they're not drinking, and they want to
Or maybe if they have, you know what I mean, they haven't gone over to the deep end
Right,
yet, you know what I
right.
mean?
So let's get it.
Right, so either way, we're still
Right.
catching them early, you know what I
Right,
mean? Right, so
right.
it's not a crucial problem
Yeah.
in their lives.
I have a good example of a young man that he's graduated now, but he and his brother have been a part of the program. They lost their father during the time that they were here, and we knew that there was pain and grieving and everything involved.
Right.
Their mom was, of course, left a single mom. What we didn't know until after, like his last year that he graduated, was while we were there for him and we were loving on him and he needed a place for, you know, like they could handle the pain and
Right,
deal with him, we didn't know that a gang was also there for him. So
Ooh,
it was,
okay.
he didn't come in. He
That's
never
a
came
great
in.
example.
Yes, he never came in and said, "Hey, you know, they're trying to recruit me" or
Yeah.
anything. He was courting them. He was courting us both. And in the end, we were just doing what
You
we
won
do.
out.
We won out, not even when we were in a battle. We knew, we always know we're in a battle.
Right.
We want to give them, we can't be there to make the decision for them in the end, but we don't want it to just be presented one way. This
Right.
is what you got to do. This is what everyone's doing.
Right.
So if we present another option and just be consistent. We didn't even know we were in that type of contest and
Yeah.
then we won.
Right.
You know, we won him over, but we literally found that out like his last year that, hey, this is what was going on. And so now he goes and he gives testimonials for us.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Well, we got about 20 seconds. Simone, we haven't talked to you that much. Any final words to promote people coming to the program?
It's a lot of people describe it as a family, so it's just a family environment, I guess, that we include everybody.
Oh,
So
that's
it for
perfect.
everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Thanks for the update.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.